Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Joining BJ Rains today is KTVB Sports Director Jay Tust. Check him out on Twitter at KTVB Sports Guy and make sure to check out KTVB.com. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Now here's Jay Tust and BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, happy Thursday. How we doing, Boise State fans? Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com, coming from the Cutwater Studios. Jay, what do you think of the new little, I don't know what you call it, background or framing here?
It was good.
We can thank our man Carson Stawning. It was not me, definitely.
I was going to say, whoever did that for you, well done.
Yeah. And we got this cool ability here where I can just kind of rotate through some ads on screen. I can, while we're talking, I got all kinds of cool stuff that I can do. We can even put Johnny and Prater up there if we want to. So if we want nothing, we can do that. So, so we're trying to upgrade here, and I think this is a pretty nice look. Thanks to Carson for doing that. We have our new deal with Cutwater Spirits. Had to make sure we got their logo placed on the screen here, and I thought it turned out very nice. So excited for this moving forward.
Yeah, looks good, man. Well done.
Appreciate it, man. Jay, it's hard to frame you perfectly, but we're doing the best we can there with the orange frame now for the background. So it's Thursday. We got Jay here a day early. We appreciate Jay and Mike Prater for switching around. I am heading later this evening to Seattle for the weekend. So we do have a show for you tomorrow. It's already been taped. We'll talk softball with Justin Schultz. We're going to talk the Horseshoe Collective and NIL and a very interesting chat with Joe Nickel. So we will still have a show tomorrow morning, but I have already taped it. Sorry to disappoint you. But Jay, we still wanted to get your contractually obligated second appearance this week. And so we appreciate you for switching Thursday for Friday. How's it going?
It's good. I apologize to everybody that tuned in thinking that we were going to see Mike Prater today, though.
I can't imagine there's too many people that are disappointed. I don't know. We'll see. Yesterday was we love Prater. He had a couple hot takes yesterday. He was helping the social media traction with some of his hot takks. So we all love Prater.
What was his hottest?
I'm not trying to like call him out here, but he didn't exactly know how big of an impact a Dawson Baker would make if he were added to the team. Wasn't sure if he was like the missing piece to the super team or not.
Okay.
He still wants a center. He wants a rim protector, like a guy that's 6'11", 7 foot is who a lot of people, including Mike, still want. And that's a fair, if you think they need one more of those kind of guys, that's fair. Next week, by the way, we are going to do a little 1 week review of last season. And so I think next who do we have? We have a couple of them, but we're going to have Tyson Degenhart next Friday, who I think is going to join us live, Jay, next Friday.
Mo Silla and Jace Whiting on Tuesday.
Okay, so I don't want to talk Mo Silla then today because I have a clip from Leon about Mo, and there's a little more talk about Mo, and that was part of what I mentioned with Prater, but I want to save that for Tuesday then when we talk about those two guys. But we are going to kind of review. By the way, you read the email, so nice. Appreciate that. I can tell Jay read the. I put a lot of time actually into the offseason plans and trying to backdate the schedule from media days and how are we going to fill 3 months of coverage on BNN. And Jay read the email. So
you sent it 74 times.
By the way, do I sound all right?
Yeah.
Any different or not? Or it sounds the same? Okay.
You still kind of have that, like, kind of like an annoying, kind of like
That's a given. No, I'm trying a new. I tried a new little mixer here.
Okay.
Moving forward, maybe something that I invest in for folks like yourself here, so we can have a high quality microphone. And I wanted to, before I bought multiple ones, wanted to make sure it worked. And so
Nice.
it sounds okay. It's I think maybe we're on the right track to something then. So
Yeah, it looks good. Sounds good.
I'm trying to remember when we talked the Max Rice scholarship, he thinks it would be a negative for Max Rice and that it would hurt his psyche and that it would be a huge negative for him he's earned the scholarship. He deserves it. And if you take that away from him, all the other fan bases would rip him for being a walk-on and that it could have a negative reaction.
I think it actually might feed into Max. I think Max is an incredibly mentally tough dude. I think he's got a lot of confidence. I think it's going to be really hard to shake him. I mean, I even go back to, not this last year, but the season prior when he got off to just like a really bad start shooting, and he still kind of pulled his way out of it, even though he's playing through injuries and stuff like that. So I don't know if there's much that can phase Max Rice when it comes to getting in his psyche, to be honest with you.
I would tend to agree. I saw his argument. I see both sides of it. Like there is there is like a statue, like there is a little sense of pride or whatever of being a scholarship player.
Yeah.
But and so I'm not like, coming on here to rip on Mike Prater. I totally get his side. That is a fair, agreeable side. I just take it as the other way. I think if you were to get a player like Dawson Baker, and that's something that Max were to agree to do, I think it'd be a really kind of feel-good story. And I think that it's obvious to everyone that Max is worthy of a scholarship. So he's not getting it taken away because he's not good enough. He's getting it taken away because he agreed to do it to add another player that might help him get to the Sweet 16 or something. I don't know. I'm just so I see both sides of it. But in the Max Rice case, I don't think it would be negatively on Max if that were to happen.
No, like I said, I think Max could handle just about anything that's thrown his way. You might have to worry about that with another player, but we're also talking about a guy that's going to be a 60-year senior next year. I mean, coach's kid, he'll figure it out. He'll be fine, regardless of what happens, in my opinion.
I mentioned we're broadcasting from the Cutwater Spirits mobile studios. More than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails. Pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store. And shout out to our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. They're scheduling for those spring concrete coatings. We've had it done twice, Jay. As you know, you've been over to our house several times. The back patio, the garage. Transform that ugly-looking stained concrete slab into a very nice-looking brand-new slab. 5 times stronger than epoxy, and they can do it in one day. Check them out at roepaint.com. I have a clip here from Leon Rice, and then I don't exactly know what it is, Jay. It's titled Cam Martin, No True Center. So I think I'm hoping it's what I think it is, where we can kind of feed off Mike's take and some fans' wishes that they get another big guy. We're going to kind of I did great show prep here and reviewed the clip before we play it, but let's hear what Leon Rice has to say, and hopefully it's on topic here of what we're talking about.
You look at some of our great offensive teams, and is when you had a 4 and a 5 that could shoot. And then now you kind of become unguardable a lot of times in a lot of ways. And but you're still getting size and athleticism. So it's not like it has to be one or the other. As you grow as a program and your teams get better, you're able to recruit a higher level guy that can do more. And I think there's been a steady evolution of our program where you're getting guys like that. I mean, I know it legitimized our program in your eyes, getting a rock chalk Jayhawk, So, that's. I think you'd take a whole roster full. But again, I mean, come on, not many teams wouldn't. Those guys are there for a reason. I mean, that you don't need to tell me. I've watched that program over the years. It's remarkable what they've done year in, year out. I mean, people take it for granted, I think, and it's, but they do it with great coaching and great players. That's it. Pretty simple and a great home court. So,
what have you seen from Cam defensively that makes you and your staff confident that he can come in here and play the 5?
Think about what he's gone against the last 2 years every day in practice. That makes guys better. And, he's big, he's big, strong, veteran. I mean, we're going to have an old team, and that's valuable. You look at the stats of what old teams were able to do this last year, and that's huge. And so, I think that, and I never underestimate coaching. I think I got the best staff in the world, and some of them coach, We do some things defensively that are unique, that fit the way we play and the guys that we can get. And, now you got an old veteran that he'll become a great player defensively.
I know a lot of folks, Jay, did want the 7-foot rim protector, more of a Nathan Mensah type. Where are you, I guess, on what the current makeup with Stanley and with Cam Martin, and then you have Mo Silla, still lurking, I guess, still there on the bench. Is that enough for you for the next year's roster, or are you in that camp that you would have liked to have seen another big guy, or maybe instead of Stanley, a bigger guy?
I think that today's game requires you to have athletic guys that are multi-dimensional, versatile, however you want to phrase it, and can guard more than just one position, right? And, Nathan Mensah was incredible for San Diego State. I mean, he was a game changer for them. And I think the interesting thing, when you look at the Final Four, 3 out of the 4 teams had a significant type of almost old-fashioned big, right? So there's clearly value there, but it also just how it fits on the rest of your team. And so if you don't feel like you can go get that type, then you got to do the best that you can. And I also think it comes down to this, how can you add offense without sacrificing too much on defense? And I feel like that's kind of maybe what Boise State has been able to add here. I don't know why. I don't think people should underestimate maybe Omar Stanley too and what he can bring on that end. He's a high energy guy that can recover quickly, and I think he's going to bring a lot to this team when it comes to the defensive end and energy and things like that. So I'm not locked into the fact that they need, a 6'11" rim protector or anything like that. I think that it comes down to having, versatile guys that also have size and having a few of them that you can run out there at different times. And I think they are pretty close to achieving that. So, is it enough? I don't know. I mean, it depends on Mo Silla's development. I don't mean to be harsh, but he really didn't contribute much last year. He just didn't, especially in conference play. So if they can get him to a point where he can just contribute a little bit, then that would be maybe enough of a game changer in itself.
Yeah, and I find it interesting, and I kind of bring this up because we see on the Twitter and social media yesterday, David Muoka, a 6'10" center from UNLV, a grad transfer, listed Boise State among 6 or 7 schools that he has heard from. So, and again, a lot of that is sometimes just that his high school coach, so you're sending out a feeler text. It doesn't necessarily mean they want him. But I mean, there was at least been some contact between David Muoka, the UNLV 6'10" grad transfer. He averaged about 5 points, 5 rebounds, but did have 1.4 blocks a game as well. Wasn't a super key contributor, but 5 and 5 and 1.4 blocks. That's similar numbers to Omar Stanley. But again, doing it at the Mountain West level, but is a little bit taller, 6'10". And I think the blocks were up a little bit from Stanley as well. But it is interesting. We don't know what's going to happen. I think the big one out there, I think right now is Dawson Baker. I don't think they're set. At least maybe I'm wrong if I'm seeing this. I kind of thought it was Dawson Baker or bust right now. I mean, they see him as a special 15-point-a-game player. If they get him, they'll make it work. If not, they'll keep the roster how it is. But I did at least find it a little intriguing that they're at least poking around the center market still as well.
I mean, I think a lot of that, BJ, what Leon said the other day is they're always monitoring the transfer portal. And, this goes back to talking with head football coaches in the past, right? That might lose a number of offensive coordinators or something like that. They always know the guys that they're going to target if they lose someone, right? And so if you're not doing your homework in those regards as it comes to the transfer portal, then you're probably going to be caught off guard at some point in time. And so the likelihood of adding somebody like that, I don't know right now, but at the very least, if there is some type of roster movement that, surprises Boise State, whether it be theirs or somebody else's, they can obviously be in a position to make that adjustment and go get it. I bet you stuff like this probably is, happened before or would be pretty common, BJ, but now there are more transfer portal type trackers and things like that. So it just becomes public knowledge in a hurry. And so you see Boise State's name on some of these lists. It literally could just mean keeping track of somebody. It's not, I mean, I do know for a fact there was a kid that did this and said he had a scholarship offer from Boise State, and come to find out, I don't think that was true. So, and that's nothing against the kid either. Like that just happens in these situations. Like I don't know if there, some of these kids get contacted by so many coaches and stuff that they might think a simple phone call means we're going to offer you a scholarship, and that's just not necessarily the case. So,
yeah,
I think it's just Boise State definitely doing their homework in case something should come up that would allow them to or encourage them to hit that market once again.
No doubt. And there was a comment on here. Maybe Leon sees improvement with Scylla. That's my best guess. Maybe signing another center he thinks will ruin morale. And again, I want to say most of the Mo Scylla talk till Tuesday.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, I think everybody totally understands his background and his story. He's still pretty raw at basketball. And I mean, you can go back a couple of years where he basically had to quit basketball to go get a job for his family because he had like 16 brothers and sisters, and his mom he had to help support. So he like stopped playing basketball for like a year. And then when he came back to Detroit Mercy, the credits he wasn't eligible. So there was like a month left in the season. So he didn't get a chance to play a lot there. And then when he got to Boise State over the summer, he had a heart condition where they couldn't get him to pass whatever the entrance testing was for a while at Boise State for him due to like an irregular heartbeat type thing. And so he didn't get to participate in any of the summer workouts last year. We were at a couple of those kind of scrimmages. I remember one, Jay, against the TBT team where Mo Scylla was just sitting over there on the side watching. He has a little bucket hat on. I'm like, man, this dude is huge. And he's a physically imposing presence, but Boise State, they're a developmental program. I think this hurt Saad Nganga a lot too. They make their hay in the offseason from April till August or September, improving these guys out of the season. And I think that it really did hurt a guy like Mo Scylla that he didn't get any work with the coaches all summer. And I think Boise State does feel like there is still some upside with him. And I mean, don't forget, he had a couple big buckets and big blocks, at least a couple of good defensive plays in the New Mexico game. He started overtime in the New Mexico game. I know he had 2 turnovers quickly, which led to them maybe losing that game. But I seem to remember a big bucket or 2 in the St. Louis game. Like when they did call on him, which wasn't very often, he came up with a couple plays at times. And so I think they feel like if they can work with him all summer, there might be a little upside with Mo Scylla, which in my opinion is why and you can throw in if he's even allowed to transfer and play somewhere else and all that kind of stuff, why would he stay? I think that, 6'11", 250-pound centers are hard to find, and I think they still feel like there's something there with him.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, BJ, but I also think that he was dealing with some injury stuff too coming in. Like he was really trying to play catch up, and whether it be his health or like, just mentally getting up to speed in this Boise State program. I liken this to, what you hear with football players coming off significant injuries, right? Like, yeah, they might be able to get back in time to participate in, fall camp or something like that, but they're not in the shape that they necessarily want to be in when it comes to strength or anything. So if all of a sudden now your strength numbers aren't there, you're trying to play catch up in season while you also take care of the wear and tear of the football season on your body. Like that's just a lot. Like you're going to be playing catch up the entire way. And in all actuality, you might not even be able to get back to where you are in that given season. So you're right. Like maybe having a full season in a full year in Boise into a nice full off season in Boise, maybe that helps springboard Mo Scylla into a little bit more of a productive player that can contribute on this team that by all means, man, a lot of people think are going to be in the NCAA tournament last year. And I said this on the news last night, BJ. We all see it, the way too early top 25s and Joe Lunardi's field of 68, things like that. And, it's pretty common for Boise State's football team to get the benefit of the doubt with some of these preseason rankings and things like that. I do think it's kind of uncharted territory, though, for the Boise State men's basketball team. So it says something from a national level. I know that they have to go out and win games. So whoever's going to write that in the comment, I know that they have to do that. But it's still nice that they have some name recognition, some respect. And now they won't have to go 24-4 for AP voters to say, okay, I think it's enough to put them in the top 25. I think that they'll already kind of have some of that credit early in the season that will allow them to kind of ascend and get that national attention a little earlier than what they've previously been able to achieve in the past.
Maybe that's a difference between a 6-7 seed and an 8-9 seed or something if you're on the national radar earlier in the season.
I mean, I hope that doesn't sound silly, but it really might be that. And when it comes down to, things like that, it could make the difference in, again, getting that first NCAA tournament win at some point in time. I mean,
and it's not just ESPN. I've seen 3 or 4 of these early lists that have kind of, they're not in the top 25. I know Sean Paul had him like number 12. He's a kind of a freelance guy that works for some different things. He's certainly, great dude, does a great job, but he's certainly not, Joe Lenardi or Jeff Goodman, or some of the national guys that have been around for 20, 30 years. But I've seen the Jeff Goodmans and the Jeff Borzellos. You mentioned ESPN. There's 3 or 4 where Boise State has been in that next little wave, right? Barely missing out. And, maybe you go get a Dawson Baker and all of a sudden you're in that list.
Yeah. And it's just wild that we continue to find, I mean, hopefully it's not exhausting, but it's wild that we can continue to find storylines to talk about with this team, despite the fact we're a month removed from the season. And
but now we're usually,
it's all pretty exciting.
In previous years, we're already on to football talk, and I think it's kind of cool. And I think early next week is when Dawson Baker is scheduled to visit. So we'll kind of track that a little bit next week as we do start our season review of the basketball team. We've been talking so much about the newcomers, Jay, and all this. I thought it was good to take a second and pause and give Tyson Degenhardt and Max Rice and some of these guys, and even the other returning players like Mo Silla and a Jace Whiting and a Kobe Young and a RJ Keene, kind of let's look at what they did last year and let's look at what their role is going to be moving forward. Because I think that as big as the newcomers are going to be, they're going to need all 7 of the returning players to probably play at some point this year as well.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, our boy Nate the Great Lowry sent out a tweet. I think he texted both of us. You beat me to the Twitter punch. This team's gonna have a lot of experience next year too. And I think in the clip you heard earlier today, Leon said old teams usually do well, or at least they have recently at the NCAA tournament, and that'll be something that plays into Boise State's favor. But I think they have a beautiful balance of experience, because while they're old, you also look at like what returns after next season. You're like, they should still be very, very good even after next season.
That's even crazier when you do think about that. You lose Max Rice, but you bring and Mo, obviously, I guess. But and is there anybody else I'm forgetting or not? I mean, Max Rice.
I mean, yeah, that's.
You lose Cam Martin. You'll lose Cam Martin and Max.
Yeah.
But you'll have Buzo and Degenhardt both back again. You have Omar Stanley back. You have another year Roddy Anderson, Meadow, all your young guys developing, and then who knows about the transfer portal next year.
Yeah, so they've done a really good job of balancing this thing out, where it doesn't ever feel like they're going to lose too much to overcome in the immediate future.
Interesting transfer portal topic that I want to bring up with you. But first, I do want to thank a couple of our sponsors. Lithia Ford of Boise. LithiaFordBoise.com. Check out their full inventory of vehicles. You can do what the Raines family did. Purchase your vehicle from Lithia Ford of Boise. You will not be disappointed. We went online, LithiaFordBoise.com, identified 2 trucks we liked, went on in there, test drove them both, got the information, and made our choice on the F-150 there. You will not be disappointed, and they will take your trade, whether you buy from them or not. They'll make you a cash offer on the spot. Check them out, LithiaFordBoise.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com, the best in mobile e-branch online banking. Huge supporters of the local sports team. You see all the local arenas named after them, all the scoreboards they're putting in. They're doing a ton of work. The esports arena, they've bought the naming rights to that. So Idaho Central Credit Union is doing so much for the local community. And if you're looking for the best online banking experience, look no further. Idaho Central Credit Union. Get more information, ICCU.com. You looking for a new job? How about transportation compliance service? Transcompservice.com. They can get you out towing that first load in no time. If you want to get into the trucking industry, become a truck driver. And then I'm talking the big rig on the screen, or it could just be like the Amazon truck you see in your neighborhood. All the DOT overweight permits, everything you need. Let them take care of it for you. Transcompservice.com. You need some new Boise State gear? Check out the Blue and Orange store. They got all the Nike and all the official styles the coaches wear, the players wear. Check it out. The Blue and Orange store.com. The Blue and Orange store is one of our big sponsors. We appreciate them. Check them out. Online orders of at least $40 get you free shipping at the Blue and Orange store.com. Jay, I mentioned Boise State reaching out to a UNLV center. And I was listening to a podcast, great interview that Mike Burns did with Dom Sheldon on the official podcast, and they didn't name the player, but he mentioned that they were recruiting a player earlier during the transfer portal from a school in the Mountain West. And he said that he talked to the player and he said, when we lined up for the national anthem, you guys probably looked across the line and thought you were going to kick our bleep. And you know what? We kicked your bleep. And the guy, said, yeah. And so I'm guessing that was UNLV also. I'm guessing maybe Keyshawn Gilbert, the guard. I don't know that because they have a lot of athletic guys. And you look at UNLV lined up on the layup line, they look like a pretty impressive team. Maybe it was Wyoming. I don't know. But the fact that they now have, at least publicly looks like they've reached out to multiple players within the league. We've seen one of Fresno State's better players transfer to New Mexico. We've seen Wyoming, I believe, had a player go to Fresno State. There's been some interconference transfers here. I know this was part of the rule when they decided to allow the immediate one-time transfer. If you transferred within the league, you used to have to sit out a year, but now, and sometimes two in the league, so it never happened. But they kind of had no choice but to allow this. And so now it's being more and more common in the Big 12. You're having guys transfer all over the place. Oh, from Kansas to Iowa State and Iowa State to Kansas and Texas to Kansas and Kansas to Oklahoma State and everywhere else. What's your take, I guess, on this new wave of the interconference transfers? And I read a nice article from Mark Ziegler last week talking to Brian Dutcher about it. And just, those players better. You scout them, you watch them play, you have a little better understanding of them. Maybe from that point it helps, but now you're getting to a point where maybe you're playing a team and you're going, oh, I'm getting that guy next year or whatever it takes. Like just taking him off a team in your conference potentially. It's just a weird new scenario that's in play now.
Yeah, I mean it is, but it just I guess it's just college basketball. I mean, if you're the Mountain West, I guess you'd kind of in a way rather they stay in the league, right? Like if it's a talented player, any way you can retain him in the league, I guess that's what you want. The Mountain West has lost some good players this year, right? Off the top of my head, I mean, what is it? Darian Williams from Nevada went to Texas Tech.
Ashworth.
Ashworth went to Creighton. Kid from Air Force went to Clemson. So, I mean, they've lost.
Ike is leaving. Maybe Gonzaga. We'll see there. But
it seems like that's the latest on him. But they've lost some talent, some really good conferences, or I guess you could say some more lucrative conferences and teams for that matter. So I guess if you can keep them in the conference, even if it's in another jersey, you'll take it. And I don't know if that was the intent when the Mountain West kind of relaxed those rules, but it definitely should have been thought about because you want to retain talent any way you can and help your teams get to the postseason any way you can.
Yeah, I remember the game at Century Lane, or what's it called now, the downtown arena.
Idaho Central.
ICCU, Idaho Central Arena. They had the game against Washington State, and Tyson Degenhart, I think, and this is not an exact scenario because it's a non-conference game, obviously, against Washington State. But I'm watching. I just get there early. I'm setting up, and Tyson Degenhart's going through his pregame shooting routine. He's got his AirPods on. He's one of the first players out there on the court. And I'm watching him shoot, and he's shooting right in front of the Washington State bench. And there's like 3 Washington State assistant coaches just sitting on the bench, and they're just salivating over Tyson Degenhart. And it like literally popped in my mind that they're going, man, wish we had this kid. Wonder what it would take to get him for next year. Like, and so like, I just, you now have like a situation where San Diego State could just have their 3 coaches out there and watching you and giving you the head nod before the game, or giving you the, we'll be in contact in the handshake line. Like, I don't know, but like, it's just very interesting now that if you with NIL and all this stuff, like you missed on a guy, or you didn't know that guy, or you see him over there and you want him, go get him. It's just really the interconference one where and then you have the players that have to decide, do I want to go back to Logan, Utah and play them after I transferred away? Do I want to face all my old players in, Laramie, Wyoming after I transferred to Fresno? I mean, I guess if the players are willing to do it and it's a better situation for them, great. It's just becoming more and more common now that we're going to have all these guys facing their old teams.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I have a problem with it. I just think it's interesting. I mean, the coaches can leave, the players should get to leave. I get it, but when you transfer it, we're just seeing more and more of it right now, where you're going to have At least 2, and I think maybe it's already higher, 3 or 4 Mountain West teams where there's players on the team from other mountain that previously were at other Mountain West teams.
Yeah, I guess I would like. I mean, he'd probably never share it with us because it's working for him. But whatever Leon Rice's secret sauce is to making sure that he can identify guys that are program guys. And I mean, I don't know if it's as simple as when you talk to a recruit, you figure out when he asks you about NIL and how much. And if it's like the top 3 questions, you just kind of identify, yeah, I don't know if that's a kid for us, but if it's like the 15th question on down, and he's like, hey, what do you have to offer for NIL too? Maybe that means like, okay, well, he's interested. We can help him, but it's not clearly at the top of his list. We think that he can fit in with our team and be our guy. And if he's good enough to really get rewarded with NIL, we'll figure it out. And that's what they're doing with a guy like Tyson Degenhart, And so there definitely has to be some loyalty there that you hope you can trust in. And I think that Boise State has done a really good job with that. And there are definitely teams out there in the Mountain West that can offer more lucrative NIL deals. I don't think there's any question about that. I mean, I would assume New Mexico's doing a pretty good job of offering deals, considering what they've been able to attract in the transfer portal. And I'm not even knocking it. Like, good for them. But
for the life of me, I don't know how UNLV and maybe even San Diego State aren't just cleaning up in the transfer portal and with the NIL. I mean, UNLV has more big companies and casinos and everybody else down there that has so much money. And maybe that's what they're doing. We've seen them add a lot of transfers this offseason. Not like super 5-star game-changing transfers. They've added a lot of solid pieces that were, guys at other schools this offseason. But with them having Vegas and San Diego having San Diego, I mean, now you have NIL involved. Like I just I would think both those schools would be in a position just to clean up these days. But
yeah, you think so? I think the professional sports is kind of hurt, the running Rebels, because they used to be the only show in town, and now
another one now.
Probably the Oakland A's now too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other professional sports that are kind of stealing the spotlight away from what UNLV used to be. Again, the only show in town. And I know that there's certain things that they can do, or, collectives that they can arrange in order for a casino to, contribute. But I mean, I think that's why the Cavender twins that were at Fresno State went to Miami. That's kind of why they're getting out of it, is because they got offered some big time money to basically be, podcast hosts for a casino, and they couldn't really do that while they were in college, and it was a 7-figure deal that they just couldn't pass up on. And so there's obviously some hurdles that you have to clear there if that's the route you go. But I do kind of agree. It seems like UNLV could do a little better, but they've struggled recently.
Well, final thing, Jay, quickly, we're over the time, but we got softball tomorrow. We got golf. We got golf going on. Any non-basketball, football topics you want to make sure we throw out there?
No, just the fact that the Boise State softball team hosts Utah State for a 3-game set. Begins tomorrow. Bark at the Park on Sunday. The Broncos are just continuing to swing it. I was actually texting with Justin Schultz about this, because if you go on the NCAA website, it says there's 295 Division I softball teams. There are a number of teams transferring up from the Division II level that are on probation for that year while they transfer up, which in my opinion is kind of silly. Like, if you transfer up and make the postseason, like, you should be able to play. If you're transferring down, I get why there might be a penalty. That's another conversation for another day. But of the 295 softball teams in America, the Broncos are second in slugging percentage, third in home runs per game, third in runs per game, and tied for sixth in on-base percentage. So
they're dropping down. Come on.
Well, they went to San Jose State last week, and not only does San Jose State have some decent arms, it's like the biggest ballpark in the Mountain West. I mean, you got to hit a shot to get it out of there, which they still hit a couple of them, but not necessarily as many as they have been hitting. So Utah State, I think they got like a 4.3 ERA as a staff. They're in the bottom third of the country when it comes to that.
Sit on the berm out there in the outfield this weekend.
Yeah, I warned everybody last week. Bring your glove if you're sitting in the
Dude, I was there that day, the Nevada doubleheader. In the first game, they had like a kids' school, like second graders out there in left field. That was the game that Kelsey Hall hit 2 home runs, and they were out there. And I mean, I was worried for those little kids' lives out there and because some of these just rocket home runs getting hit out there, and then the ball would land and you'd see like 100. It'd be like throwing a piece of bait into like a minnow pond or something. They just swarm the ball because 100 of these second graders wanted the home run ball, and it was funny to see. But yeah, we'll have Coach Schultz on tomorrow morning. We'll about 9 o'clock, 9:03, I think we'll get to him, and he'll come on and preview the series. 4 o'clock tomorrow is first pitch, and these are all key games, Jay, as they try to get that number 1 seed. And I think Coach Schultz feels if they're the number 1 seed, if they win the regular season, but like losing the championship or something, they might still have good enough numbers to make a case for an at-large bid. So even though it doesn't lock them up, winning the regular season is a big deal, I think, for them. So 4 o'clock on Friday and Saturday, and then I think noon on Sunday. And I know women's golf's having some success as well. They were 6th place, I think, heading into today's round. So good luck to Kaylin Downs and the women's golf team as well. They're competing. So, Jay, appreciate your time as always, man. We'll be watching KTVB, 5, 6, 10, all the various times. Is there a 4 o'clock?
There is. I'm not usually on the 4, though.
Okay, so 5. Well, we'll be watching 4, 5, 6, 10, whenever. KTVB.com. Jay and Brady do a great job, so you can make sure you check them out. Follow Jay on Twitter, all that good stuff. So have a great – we got a cool announcement coming Monday. We'll talk to Jay about it on Tuesday. And then golf tournament related and non-golf tournament. Jay, I'll tease it on the way out of here. I, for the first time ever, signed Bronco Nation News up for whatever the INFLCR portal website thing for the NIL transactions with Boise State student athletes. And so for the golf tournament, we kind of made it official in the portal. And we have a couple football players that have accepted my proposal. And we have an official legal NIL deal to have some football players out at the golf tournament. And we'll tell you who next week. So it was pretty cool, though. And now I can talk about that process of what it was like to get that done. And it was pretty easy and seamless, but kind of cool now to officially have contracts with some of these guys.
I don't know who to congratulate, you or them.
They're getting a free round of golf out of it and a free lunch and a chance to hang out. So I would say probably them, but we're excited to have them, and it's going to be a fun time. So Jay, have a good rest of your day. We'll be watching you on KTVB tonight. Thanks again for switching to Thursday. We'll still have the show tomorrow. Joe Nickel and Justin Schultz will be on talking Boise State Collective, Boise State softball. And appreciate all you guys for checking us out. If anything happens today, we'll have you covered. Bronco Nation News. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Have a great day, Bronco Nation News. We'll talk to you tomorrow. BroncoNationNews.com.